I'm here because I am a roaring lion crying out righteousness. We're headed for some extremely, extraordinarily dangerous, very dangerous times. And so what everybody's talking about now is that there is, and definitely in America, there is inflation at 6 to 7%. Now, usually when they say it at what percentage of inflation they're talking about, they usually lie, the government. And I'm not un-American. I'm not un-American. I love America. I love apple pie, wave a flag. I take me out to the ball game. I'm not un-American. But they lie, the government does. And so they're saying it's around 6 or 7%. I also heard that gasoline prices that had petered off around $4.10 a gallon, for regular gasoline unleaded, is now going up to $4.50. When the summer driving season get here, you're going to be looking at $5 and plus for regular unleaded. And out there in California on the left coast, you're going to be paying like $8 and $9 a gallon. The people places down in Florida or up here in New York, $8 and $9. It's going up because Russia, Putin is going to threaten to turn off the gas, the oil tap going to Europe, and it's going to go crazy. I'm coming back to that. If you're driving a car, you're buying food at the supermarket. So if they're saying, well, when you hear the word inflation, let me explain to you, because a lot of people don't know what inflation means. They think it's some term cooked up by some economist or something. They don't even know who the economist is. But when they say inflation, what they mean is that the true cost of something may be $7. That's the true cost. Manufacture, production, marketing, etc., little profit margin, $7. That's the true cost. Inflation is when that price gets inflated. Like you inflate a tire, or you inflate a balloon, it gets blown up. So the $7 then becomes $7.07, or $7.49 at 7%. 7% of 7 is 49. So the $7 now is no longer, you were able to buy for $7, I know what you buy for $7. Now it's $7.49. Now the true cost and the normal and what have been the average cost have been $7 for years. But inflation, we say, well, what causes inflation? Well, I'm glad you asked. I'll tell you. See, why would they jack it up because if the true cost of productivity and plus demand is making a profit at $7, why would he want to now sell it for $7.49? Why would he inflate the price? Well, let me tell you why there's inflation. Inflation happens, it could happen for several reasons, but the main reason why we're experiencing presently economic inflation here in America is because of the COVID pandemic. Well, because of what happened in the COVID pandemic when Biden pumped nearly $2 trillion into the economy. And when he pumped all that money into the economy, people had money to spend, money they never had, just money given to them, and they went out and started buying stuff. Because at that time, we were headed for a recession because people weren't buying. Everybody was staying home. Nobody going out, nobody going to hotels and restaurants because of the pandemic. So we're headed towards a recession. So to pump the economy back up, to get the people buying again and going out again, he gave money. And now, because there's so many people out there buying, merchants, and here's the thing that you're going to really pay attention to, merchants are now raising their prices. Greedy merchants, where they don't have to raise their prices, but everybody's buying. So when demand is great, the prices go up. And there's a great demand now because people got money, grandmama. So the prices are going up. And the man who says, well, I don't have to raise my price, I just $7, he's going to have to raise his price because they're going to raise prices where he buys his products from to make that product that he sells for $7. The price is going to go up there. So he's going to have to raise his prices. And then all his competitors are raising their prices. So you're going to have to raise prices to stay competitive. So in other words, what has happened, remember going back, and still now used cars are at 15 to 20%, and to some degrees 50% above, market or blue book pricing. It's called inflation. When something is inflated, and right now the something is the economy, stupid. And so prices for food, gasoline, essentials are just going to go up. Right now, they say 7%. They're lying. It's more like 10%. And over the summer months, people start going on vacation. Gasoline's going to be at $5, $6 a gallon for a pump. There's another thing, too. There's an airline pilot crisis going on across America. Many of the pilots have to retire, I think, at 62 or 65. And there are not a lot of people that are coming out of the military or learning flying big airliners. So they're cutting, many of the airlines are cutting the routes and raising the prices. Not to mention that the fuel is costing more money. So everything that's inflated, not only do you have to pay more money as an individual, but corporations have to pay more as well because everything gets inflated. That's what inflation is called, rather. That's what it is. So we're now at a period of inflation, and that's going to run until about another year from now, year and a half from now. Then we're going to find ourselves in what we refer to as a recession, where all the money is gone. People stop buying, and demand goes down. Then the prices go down, but people still don't buy. Then, because people aren't buying, factory workers get laid off, unemployment goes up, and the prices go down, yet nobody's buying anything. It's called a recession. Now, generally, a recession is harder to deal with than inflation. Because once people run out of money, and they start foreclosing on houses, and banks start calling back their loans and repossessing cars because people have lost their jobs. That really gets ugly, recession. And recessions, and we're going to have one, there's no doubt about it. By this time next year, we're going to be head over heels into the beginning processes of a recession. Now, the recession can get worse. It's a mild term for what can come called a depression. Remember the Great Depression of the 1930s? When soup lines were all over everywhere, homelessness. And banks, let me tell you something about American business people, they're greedy. The politicians are crooked, liars, and thieves. They're all greedy as hell. Listen, the oil companies, Mobil Oil, Exxon, Shell, Valero Oil, BP, and all of them, they do not have to raise their prices now. And they didn't have to raise their prices. Listen, you should be able to buy oil right now the way they're manufacturing, or way they're producing it, rather. $2 a gallon. But these people are greedy. Business people, banks, they are heartless. They will foreclose on your home and throw you in the street. Knowing that the economy is bad, knowing that you ain't got no job, knowing nobody else has got a job, knowing how bad things are, they will foreclose on you and throw you in the street. You say, well, I'm going to call my politician and call my congressman, call my senator, call my governor, call the police, call somebody. But the politicians are crooked too. The business people, the banks, and the Wall Streets, and the corporation got the politicians in their hip pocket, passing laws, make it possible for them to take your property and take whatever else you have as well. It's called recession. And nobody has any mercy on anybody. Nobody cares. You think, well, the banks got plenty of money. They made plenty of money. You still got billions in profits. Look like they let you stay in your house for, till this recession's over, you get a job. Give you a year or so, you get a job. They don't care. You 90 days past, they taking you to court. Then the lawyer's going to come in. They're going to take their part as well. And that's where we're headed. No mistake about it. That's where we are headed economically in America and across the globe as well. But I figure I'd talk to y'all right here in America since there's so many of y'all here that listen to me. Now, one of the things also that's happening right now, so inflation is when prices get inflated like a balloon or like a tire beyond what they should be. Because a lot of people out there spending, a lot of people out there got money, and so they just inflating the prices. And all down the supply line, the prices get inflated. Price of a hamburger goes up, price of gasoline goes up, price of electricity goes up, price of everything goes up, inflated. Recession is when it starts coming back down, when it recedes. And again, the recession is a whole lot harder to deal with and a lot more painful than the inflation. And right now, Joe Biden, my time Biden, is trying to stop the inflation. He's trying somehow or another to stop it from taking place or slow it down. But the economy is red hot now. And, he's not going to be able to do it. And people are looking at it, and they're now many people are beginning to feel the recession now because the prices are going up, and they can't afford a pound of hamburger anymore. So they're buying smaller quantities. They're serving less. I looked at the food bill we have here for the church. It's going up, over, 10%. Actually, it looks like more like 25% over the last 6 months. Then, prices start coming down, but people don't have jobs, so they can't buy. And people have to get laid off from work. Unemployment goes up. The job market at present is a worker's market. Right now, it's a great time to go and apply for a job, but you're not going to have it much longer because, a year from now, 2 years from now, for sure, you're going to be out. But right now, a job market, the workers are in demand now. A job that would, let's say a year ago, 2 years ago, before the pandemic, you could only get $500 a week. You can get $1,000 a week for that same job now, mainly because, bosses are paying and because they want to sell their products, and there's a lot of money out there, and there's a shortage of workers. Unemployment rate's down to 3.6%. So not a whole lot of people out there working, because a lot of people are now going into business for themselves. A lot of people have retired, or a lot of people are doing all the kinds of things. So the major industries are suffering greatly. So they're paying big time wages now, for what they're paying twice as much as they were paying maybe 3 years ago. So the employment market right now is good. If you're looking for a job, go get one. I mean, that's because. But once the recession happens, that's all going to turn around. You say, well, why are you? I'm telling you this because I think you need to learn how to protect yourself. That's a very difficult times. Now, Jerome Powell, who's the chairman of the Federal Reserve, just raised the interest rate 0.75% to 1%. Now, 1% interest rate for many, many moons, for a couple of decades, the interest rate was like 0%. I'm not sure what it is. I know it's been raised 1%. Now, that's a lot of money if you're going to buy a house. It can add, $250,000, buy a $500,000 house. It could add another $300 to $400 a month onto your mortgage. What Jerome Powell, the chairman of the Federal Reserve, has done by raising the interest rate. And the reason why he's raised the interest rate is because he thinks that by raising the interest rate, it'll slow down the economy. It'll stop people from buying because people are borrowing money, buying things, and that's called, so if they realize they got to pay more money on interest, they will not be so quick to buy that new car, won't be so quick to buy that new house, which will slow the economy down. But it isn't going to work. It isn't going to work. It's only going to make things a whole lot worse. So we're looking at some very difficult financial times. And, the one thing about the economy, but nationally and globally, it always seesaws. It always goes up and it comes down. It's just, it's been that way since time immemorial. And then if we should have, a terrible, if you will, spring and fall and storm hurricane season, or if an earthquake took place somewhere, and then the other thing that's behind this economy we're suffering through now is the war in Ukraine. Everybody's paying a high price. That war is going to drive prices through the roof. Under normal circumstances, you would have inflation, and then after inflation, recession, and then after recession, depression. Under normal circumstances, every decade or so. But the war in Ukraine, the American business people and the politicians, my brother, can I tell you that they are some greedy and crooked people? Now, I'm not un-American. I don't hate America. Run around here and everybody talking about I'm a hater, and I'm not. But the prices don't have to be. The oil companies don't have to raise their prices. They don't have to do it. They just taking advantage of, they don't care whether you can buy oil for your car. They're raising their prices. You go find the money. But they don't need to. They don't have to. They're taking advantage of you. And guess what? I say this, I don't know, how can I say it, that in many ways, Americans are glad that the war is going on in Ukraine. Edwin Starr, years ago, back in the 1960s, had that song called War. Remember when that boy, what's his name, had that movie, what's that name of that? Rush Hour, remember that? And the Hamite brother and the Chinese brother was singing, war, hula, war, war, war. Got one friend, the Undertaker. And a lot of people like to see war because dead bodies, they make money. Undertaker don't make no money until people die. And you have to know when people die, the Undertaker, well, but he ain't the only one. The real people in America that's glad that this war is going on, first of all, is CNN, because they get the report on it. Even get some of their crazy reporters to go over there and stand in Kiev and Kharkiv and Mariupol and all them other places where bombs are falling, because all the eyeballs on, they put all these sad stories, and CNN is selling commercials like you won't believe. They're selling commercials. 4 or 5 minutes of nothing but commercials before they get back to the story again, making money off the war. And should I tell you also about the military-industrial complex? The manufacturers of tanks, bullets, bayonets, rifles, bombs, houses, trucks, tires. Every war needs a lot of money. So I thought I would say those things to you because that's where we are, and I want you to be able to protect yourself and get ready for it because it's coming. And then this summer, there's going to be a lot of street violence. Now, we've got a major problem in America with violence among young people, and they all are strapped. All these young boys got guns, 12, 14, 15-year-old boys, they're all strapped. And they're going to start shooting soon as the weather gets nice and they're out there and talking to one another in the park and running around in the street. They're going to start shooting, especially in these major urban areas. Now, the Japheth boys, they like to go into schools and shoot up schools. They like walking there with an AR-15 or something and just shoot up everybody, and then go home and tell their mama they killed, something. But, the Japheth boys do that. But the Hamite boys, they like to shoot at night in the streets, on the corner, they're shooting at each other in the park. And so you're going to see a lot of that, and that's going to cause major problems on the hospitals, not to mention that you got COVID-19. And then the prognosticators, all the doctors, everybody saying that, come the fall, there's going to be 100,000 cases, 100 million infections come September and October, November. I was thinking about maybe I would take a chance and go away on vacation, try to get some fresh air, go, Elizabeth and I was thinking about maybe I would do that, but, right now hospitalizations in New York and the Northeast are up 50% from where they were 2 months ago. And it petered out, then they took off their mask, everybody took off the mask, going into restaurants now, they say, well, as long as you got a vaccination, you're double dosed, you don't have to wear a mask and you can do this and do that. And now, I'm not one of the anti-vaxxers, I'm not that, but, people get vaccinated, they get sick, they still get COVID. And one of our members, Princess Lewis, a member of our church, been vaxxed up to the hilt. She got COVID again for the second time. So it's called people are taking off their mask and, well, we all good now. They all on the CDC, everybody telling everybody else that, well, if you got a double dose, you've been vaxxed up, you don't have to wear a mask anymore indoors. But hospitalizations are up 50%. That means deaths are going to begin to go up as people are going to start dying again the way they were dying a year or so ago. All this combined with inflation and the future recession, high prices, violence, all that is coming to a theater near you within the next month or so. So it's going to get really, really difficult for everybody. So learn how to protect yourself. If you're going to borrow money, do it now, because the 1% interest rate, I don't think it's hit the banks as of yet. You got a job, try to keep it. If you don't need something, don't buy it. If it's not absolutely necessary, don't buy it. And try to protect yourself. Try to pay down your bills, pay down your credit cards, pay your mortgage or so, whatever you can do.
The steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord, and he delighteth in his way. Though he fall, he shall not be cast down, for the Lord uphold him with his hand. We shall never beg bread, and will never be defeated, for the Lord is our refuge and our shield. We shall never beg bread, and will never be defeated, for the Lord is our shelter and our shield. I have been young and now am old, yet have I never ever seen the righteous forsaken, nor seed begging bread. He is merciful and he is blessed. We shall never beg bread, and will never be defeated, for the Lord is our refuge and our shield. We shall never beg bread, and will never be defeated, for the Lord is our shelter and our shield. Yeah, for the Lord is our refuge and our strength. Shall never beg bread, and will never be defeated, for the Lord, you're our refuge and our strength. Yeah, we shall never beg bread, and will never be defeated, for the Lord, you're our shelter and our strength. Just the violence. We shall never beg bread, and will never be defeated, for the Lord, you're our refuge and our shield. We shall never